Hey everybody, we're here at Full Compass. My name is Jim Ripp, and we are here with Yamaha today to go over their new MODX M series of keyboards. We have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Blake Angelo.
Hey, how's it going? Great to be here at Full Compass. I think the last time I was here, it was Montage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was fun. This is going to be equally as fun because this keyboard right here, the DNA of this keyboard comes directly from Montage M. So immediately when you look at this, you see things like, oh wow, there's display knobs under here like Montage M. And the display knobs really enhance navigation. It's much faster to get around and stuff. Also, whoa, 8 faders as opposed to 4. So that's a very cool thing. It's cool for mixing operators or elements in an AWM voice. When you hit this DAW remote, well, now it becomes a control surface for controlling levels of tracks you have in your DAW. Very cool. So it's nice to have those 8 faders in there. And then over here, there's some performance controls that we pulled directly from Montage M series as well. So you have like the keyboard hold. One of my favorite ones actually is keyboard hold, weirdly enough, because you can hear. So it holds the keys, but it cancels when you're playing pads behind someone. It's really nice to have this. You don't have to hit the sustain pedal to do it.
Yeah.
And then it makes you sound like you're really chording really, accurately.
Cleanly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. That's a cool feature. You also have portamento control right here as well that we didn't have. And then, of course, the A to D input, so you can bring things from the outside, run it through effects and so on. Very cool. And then there's some redesigns as well, too, where the scene switches are. We have the part selects underneath the faders like Montage M. There's a lot of things to love.
Very similar to the Montage.
It takes most of the really cool features of Montage M and now gives it to people that want something that's lighter weight, but at a much affordable price point. But where it counts, it's pretty cool. One thing that you notice on a Montage M, for example, is that there's that screen up here, right? But what they did to help with the lack of a screen is they have more things that you can choose right here. And you look in the screen and this pop-up comes up. So it actually does the duty of that screen in the...
Just on the same.
Yeah. So if I, like right here, I'm in EQ. When I move the EQ, I can still see my EQ curve. It's right there. And then when I want to get out of it, I just exit out of it. Or if I want to see cutoff frequency and resonance, or right there, you saw the envelope right here, and then your display knobs come up right here, so you have direct control over attack, sustain,
Quick access, quick everything.
Another cool thing about this is it has the page jump too, which we had in Montage M. What that does is when I'm looking at this and I maybe want to get a little deeper, I hit the page jump and it takes me to the edit screen where that's at. Now I can get into a little bit deeper editing here. And then again, with both Montage M and MODX M, when you're in any edit mode and you want to get back to your main performance, just press performance. That's why it says home under there. That takes you home. But here's another thing that's cool. When you want to get deep, they've even made that easier to get to because we put the navigation button that we have from the Montage M series right there. So when I press navigation, look at that. It gives you an overview of the entire performance.
Can we hear some of the sound?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have my live sets in here. And again, the live set is the same that we've had that in Montage. We brought it into Montage M. So I have several different live sets. When you get your Montage M, which you'll end up buying, I know you will, people, you'll have preset live sets right in here. These are preset live sets, but I created some user ones of some of my favorite ones in here. And the first up, I always like to play my main go-to piano sound in pretty much all of our instruments, especially for playing live. I really like using the CFX Concert Grand. So this is the original CFX. So it has that nice, fundamental. That's the thing that makes the CFX so powerful, is that they really made it so that that really pops out, so it can really sing over a full orchestra, actually. That's what's great about the CFX. But right next to it, I have the CFX2. So we upgraded the CFX in 2022 with this one. And this one still has a lot of that same fundamental, but they made this one a little bit more resonant. So there's a little bit more note bloom behind it. So I usually like using this one, especially for solo piano, because it has an intimate quality that I really dig. Especially if I modulate to A flat. Or I modulate to G flat. Anyway, but so that's the CFX2 in here as well. And that's the one that I use. I have B next to that for Blake. So, but then you move on here and I'll kind of take you into some of the AWM content. This one is one of my favorite sounds in the instrument. It's called SFZ Tremolo BPM Sync. And the reason why it says BPM sync is because it follows the BPM, all the tremolo stuff and all the articulation.
Nice.
So if you were to maybe record this into a DAW and you wanted to add this cool kind of orchestral sound, you set it to the same tempo as the DAW and it'll make it easy for you to put it in when it's audio time. So that's what this one is. So it has those tremolo. Right? But each scene, now what scenes are just snapshots that change some of the offsets and some of the things that are either muted in here. It can do all sorts of things, octaves and just different stuff. So this one has just the with the 30s type, still in the bar with the tremolo strings. And then you go here and you have just, so the first one has them both, right? Second one, just tremolo. This one just is, but then you start adding these. The horn section.
Can you change the tempo?
Yeah, sure. So if you touch this right here, it will take you to the tempo and you can tap tempo it in. So. That's the stuff that's moving in tempo.
Right.
Those guys are going at that tempo. The arpeggios. The people that are in this.
Fantastic.
It's those guys. It does. It sounds so realistic that you kind of go like, this one this one just ostinato staccato, same kind of thing. But each one of these gives you 1, 2, thump, thump, 1. Okay, and then you go, and this one absolutely follows BPM as well.
That 3.
So now when you're playing in 3, or 4. So it's like the Vivaldi. And then as you move down to the further ones at like scene 7, the horn section in this one too. And the James Bond.
It's crazy. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I'm floored by that.
There's so much in this again, and we're just talking about AWM2. But if I move over one, I go to something like this. And I love this one because it shows the ANX engine in a very cool way. So this is a pulse width modulation sound.
Okay.
And each one of the scenes changes the pulse width modulation. So one sound, as I play through it, so you have this kind of like, let's change key. How about we go now we've got this square wave, more of a square wave kind of. Single part. It's amazing. This little ANX engine is quite capable of producing some really a wide range of sounds that you wouldn't expect from an analog modeling engine so much. Right now it's pretty much, each one changes. And then of course you have your filter control right here, and it pops up in the window so you can see what's happening here. So that's just one of the more of the analog vibey sounds there.
It's got a great combination of everything.
Yep.
Analog, digital. What about polyphony throughout all of these?
128 for the AW engine, 128 for the FMX engine, and then 12 voice poly for the ANX.
So the
engine. And again, as a side note, remember, this also comes with ESP, the expanded soft synth plugin. So in the box, with every one of the MODX M's, there's a code that you can download a free copy of the MODX M soft synth. It's the same instrument. You can share files back and forth with it. And what does that do? That effectively doubles your polyphony, because it's like putting a MODX M in your DAW. And then when you open up an instrument track, or however your DAW deals with plugins, you just open up multiple instances, it's going to each time exponentially like
Nice.
yeah, so it's great to have that. Plus the last thing just I'll say about ESP is that when you take your keyboard away and you have to travel and you have a controller you want to use, you still have all of your sounds in there. You can do your editing, your mixing, whatever you want to do, and then when you come back you can transfer them right back into your MODX.
There's so much power in this. It's just amazing.
We had probably, I don't know, 10 sound designers from all over the world working on this.
Oh, wow.
People that have worked with us for years, guys like Nanny Fernandez, who's a big FM programmer, and Scott Plunkett, who's worked for us for a long time, does a lot of the piano stuff. But there's a guy in particular that we brought on named Peter Schwartz, and he did a lot of these really cool movie trailer sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so like these huge, that I've only found sounds like this in DAW libraries for the most part.
Right.
But to have them in front of you on a gig, to be able to play that through a subwoofer, the whole, and I made little sequences for these so people could hear what they were. She'd be like, in a world where humans no longer are the top of the species, one man stands above. What? Wow. So you got all those, that's where they are. All the big kettle drums and stuff. And then up here, and there's not one, but there's trailer toys, and then there's more trailer toys. So there's a different one that has more of like, you know, like the Fugitive soundtrack or whatever.
There wasn't enough in the first one.
You got that too. But then you move over here and you have SmartMorph for ANX. So we introduced SmartMorph in the original montage for FM. And what SmartMorph is, it's a machine learning system that allows you to take individual sounds and you place them on parts 9 through 16. So those are the parts that are available to you, but they're not parts 1 through 8, you can split, layer, however you want to do it. So that's the playable area. But 9 through 16, there's still individual parts. But what we do is we take different ANX sounds, because it uses SmartMorph, before it was FM, and it also supports FMX. And you grab a sound like, here's an ANX sound. I'm going to search now in my search here for ANX sounds only, right? And I'll grab a dyno clav. So some sort of a clavy kind of sound. And you can play that sound. That's an interesting sound. A little bit of portamento on this. Just a weird ANX kind of sound with a shimmer reverb. It's right to it because there's shimmer reverb here. Now, when I have this sound in here and I hit learn, what it does is it takes a look at all of the parameters of those sounds and it creates a composite sound based on them, then places a grid where you can morph through all of that sound, but you have a new sound that's set right here in part 1. And so if I'm going through here now, right now I have a motion sequence that's moving the super knob through it. But if I turn this off, I can morph through the sounds. And let's say right in here, let's say that's the sound I love. I just go to store, boom, my store is a new performance, and I'll just store it as 2, whatever. And I can keep doing that. So if I decide, well, let's try another, it'll run another SmartMorph and create a different version of that based on the same data. But now when I come back here, I have a little bit, oh, that's a different sound. It has a little bit more of a, yeah. Okay, fine, I'll store that one too. It's just an instantaneous, quick. For people that really don't feel comfortable doing a lot of editing, but they want to do something, this is kind of like a little bit of an aleatoric, you roll the dice and it puts it on this, and then you can find something by moving stuff around. Like if I like this one better, store that, on and on and on. So that's what SmartMorph is.
So I know now that when I get this, I am not going to sleep for a week.
You won't.
It's outstanding.
It just goes on and on. I mean, here, I'll just go to something entirely different now. One thing that I love about being a Yamaha synth guy is I feel very confident that just our guitars, just the quality of our guitars, acoustic and electric guitars, are so top of the line. And to me, that's important as a keyboard player. A lot of it is because it puts me in a different space. As a keyboard player, like when you're in here, you know, playing chords like this, playing very close voicing chords, and that kind of, you know, stuff that's really tight in here, that doesn't sound so good on a guitar because a guitar player can't really play that.
Correct. Yes.
But here's something that now has, and I'll show you exactly how it's affected how I play, because I use this little figure when I calm, but it comes from playing guitar sounds. I love this.
Oh my God.
So having the,
okay.
and you also have key, like listen to this too.
Get the harmonics.
When I lift my foot off the sustain pedal, you get the little key off from the fingers moving off of the fretboard. It's just
nice.
So, but this right here. So now when I play piano, you don't, if I want to go to the 4 chord, you know, just stuff.
That open way of playing.
But I don't think I would have ever really, it would have affected how I play piano had I not had that guitar sound to mess with. So anybody, you know, and then I'll move, just speaking of guitar sounds. So this comes from the original montage. Clean. And then the super knob will increase things like drive, in this case. That puts on kind
of. So tell us about the super knob.
The super knob. The super knob is a macro controller. Basically, what it's doing, there are these assignable knobs that are right here. And the super knob, being a macro controller, controls those knobs. Each of these assignable knobs can have multiple controls. And because of what motion control allows you to do, is it allows you to change what direction those could be moving. And the easiest way I can explain it is you can assign to an assignable knob in all of these. This will control all of them moving, but you can have a single knob, basically say you want to have more reverb as you turn this up, but less of the filter. Let's say you want to cut the cutoff frequency. That can be done with a single knob in the motion control system.
All right, so you got 32 different things that you're changing. You can change it all with the knob, right?
Right.
You're playing live, 2 hands going like crazy. How are you going to change that?
If you meditate enough, you can develop telekinetic powers like I have here. If I can get it to work. There we go.
There it is.
Oh, and you can do it this way too. Or you can have an FC7 pedal, which is what I'm really doing. I'm using the FC7 pedal. But I've actually gotten people like, how did you do that? It's like,
So Blake, super obvious to me that this fits studio work all the way up to live performing huge concerts. How would this fit into a house of worship?
what I like to show is scenes and the fact that these individual parts can be controlled with a single fader. So these are individual part selects, so I can directly select parts here, but I can change sort of the configuration of how things are split or layered with this scene control right here. So scene 1 is just the piano. Scene 2 turns on keyboard control for this part, and now I have an analog ANX string sound behind, or a pad sound for that part. Now when I go to this one right here, now I've just changed the sound. It's an electric piano, but you still have the seamless sound switching within the performance itself. You have seamless sound switching for performances up to 6 parts on the MODX M. But with this one, within a performance, I can now listen, when I lift my hand off, that's now
you're up to a different sound.
And but I've seamlessly moved from that sound. Now, if I go to this one here, and I play another sustain chord, this one now turns back on the CFX that we have in part 1, and then adds a string ensemble. We're still hearing that, well, now it's died out, but that's still the electric piano. But now when I play it,
nice strings behind.
Right. And then if I want to go back to my electric piano, and I want to go back to the original, So you have control over what things are set, how things work in here. And that to me is that's important stuff, especially when in the house of worship, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Another thing that I think is cool about this too is that in the organ section in here, we have 8 faders now. So no, we don't have the traditional 9 faders that you get on drawbar organs, but the vast majority of people that I think play, they're coming from the piano, but they need to have some organ stuff. So we've not only given you some cool drawbar control right here. Now you notice on a Montage M, it has a ribbon controller, but our engineers are so cool. Is there any way we can have a ribbon controller? Well, yeah, it's right here. There's a ribbon control, virtual one in the screen. And this one, on the Montage M, that sets the rotary speaker to stop, right? Which I've been using a lot more, I find, lately. I kind of like this sound because it's like a cool pad, especially if you pull, just have the fundamental sound. That's a very popular,
Right.
You know, the Vespers.
Very Baroque sounding.
But if you want to go more funky with this stuff, now if I go here, watch the super knob. If I hit, that's going to bring up the sweet, whoa,
Wait a minute. So
speed of the rotary.
I got to call this out. I got to call this out, Blake. You're seeing the rotary that you just turned on the super knob.
Yeah.
So if before you even hit a chord, you know where that rotary's at.
Yeah, I'm looking at that at a glance. I know that right now. And it's, so if the pastor goes over, he goes, will you know, if he looks over and sees that and goes, I need that stopped. We want a more mellow thing. He goes, okay, no problem. And the pastor can see that. He goes, good, thank you. There you go, that's
Perfect.
So now if I go fast.
What about the bigger, more modern mega churches and connectivity to main stage?
The thing that's cool about Montage and MODX series is that they're both USB and audio interfaces as well. So with the MODX M, this gives you 2 returns. So you have the return from over USB now. We're talking about this connection right here. I have a USB-B to USB-C because I have both a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro. They only have USB-C, so I use that. And I plug into my computer, and I get USB, like you can see it here actually. This one gives you digital in, so that's for a digital input, and this is for the USB main coming back from the DAW. So I have that control right here. You can see it right here. And that actually is a fader for the A to D input, where I can set the gain here. So I can bring back sound, and I can also send up to 10 channels out of this to a DAW. So let's say I wanted to send the electric piano and the pad sound on its own dedicated input to the DAW. So I can set that up on USB 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then the piano goes out just the main stereo outs. These two will bypass the system effects, which is kind of what you'd want, because you want to have your system effects probably coming from the DAW at that point, right? But it still retains the insertion effects, and something like the VCM, that's an insertion effect. I want to carry that over into the DAW, but I don't want, you know, I want all the reverbs to be the same. So you have that pretty cool connectivity right there with MIDI and audio. But for a main stage, what's really cool, you may have lots of different audio unit plugins that you use in main stage in the service, but wouldn't you like to also have the MODX M8 ESP plugin in your main stage? Because it's an audio unit. That's what comes with every single MODX M is ESP for MODX M. It is the entire synth engine in a plugin. So one performance, you can have another performance in there, you can have multiple versions of it, and then in main stage, you can do all the things that you can do with main stage and just have MODX in there as well as, and sitting with all the other plugins that you might use. So
expanding is not a problem.
Not a problem at all. It's designed to do that. And because you're running main stage, you're running an Apple computer. Apple computer is also MIDI 2.0 compatible. And guess what? This is MIDI 2.0. So those are really powerful things right there.
So let's recap real quick on the USB. You have 10 channels out.
You have 10 channels out. So the stereo channel, right? The main stereo, and then an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that you can configure as stereo pairs or mono.
And then what about it coming in?
Coming in, 2. You have 2 stereo channels coming in.
2 stereos coming in.
Yeah, one coming for the USB main and one coming from a digital input.
Excellent. All right, we've been showing everything on the MODX M8. What is this?
Well, that right there, that's the MODX M6. So this is the 61 note version of that. And you can see these are the same controls. Internally, it's identical. It's the same keyboard. The difference is this is the 61 note FSB action. So this action that we've had in some other keyboards, like in the Ranger workstation area, we brought it into our Pro line. And I love how this feels. It's a faster action. It feels more expressive.
More like an organ.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And then the 76 note version is the same action, just with 76 notes. So it goes out to about here. But turn it sideways too. Look at how thin this is. It's really cool how just the redesign of this keyboard, they really did a lot of very cool changes to make it sleeker, more compact, and yet still, and light. It's 15 pounds, but yet it still feels very substantial under your finger.
But you still see all the same controls.
All the same controls.
Same size screen?
Same size screen, yeah.
Awesome. Blake, thank you so much for coming in today. I'm just blown away, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are feeling the same way. Feel free to call your salesperson here at Full Compass and get this in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll love it.